In the midst of global uncertainties, a question lingers in the back of our minds. Are we on the verge of World War III? From the rising tensions in the East to the political unrest in the West, there's a palpable sense of unease across our world map. Behind every headline, beneath every diplomatic facade, the specter of conflict lurks, whispering of a possible global war. But what would a third world war look like? Would it mirror the trench warfare of the First World War, the global conquest of the Second, or would it take on an entirely new form? Would it be fought with conventional weapons, or would it be a war of information, a war of economies, or even a war in space? The stakes are high, the implications profound. But to truly understand, to answer the question that lingers in our minds, we need to delve into potential causes and consequences of a possible World War III. A third world war, if it were to happen, wouldn't arise out of nowhere. It would be the result of a complex web of causes. So let's delve into what these potential causes might be. First up is political tensions. The world stage is a complex arena of power plays and diplomatic chess games. Political ideologies clash, alliances shift, and old feuds may reignite. In the worst-case scenario, these tensions could escalate, snowballing into full-blown conflicts that draw in nations around the globe. Next, we have economic disparities. It's no secret that the world's wealth is not evenly distributed. This disparity can lead to resentment, competition, and, in extreme cases, conflict. As resources become scarcer and the divide between the haves and the have-nots widens, the risk of a global conflict over these resources grows. Territorial disputes are another potential cause. Land has always been a source of conflict, from ancient civilizations vying for fertile plains to modern nations squabbling over strategic locations or natural resources. In a world where every square inch of land is claimed, disputes over territories could ignite a spark that sets off a worldwide conflagration. Lastly, let's talk about the proliferation of nuclear weapons. The Cold War may be over, but the nuclear threat is far from extinct. With more countries gaining access to nuclear technology, the potential for a nuclear conflict is a very real and very terrifying prospect. A single miscalculation, a single misstep could plunge the world into a nuclear war, the consequences of which would be unimaginable. These are just some of the potential causes that could lead to a third world war. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? But it's not all doom and gloom. Knowledge is power, and by understanding these potential causes, we can work towards preventing them from happening. While these causes may seem daunting, understanding them is the first step towards prevention. The consequences of a World War III would be unimaginable and far-reaching. Imagine a world where the loss of human lives is not counted in thousands or millions but potentially billions. The scale of destruction would dwarf even the most catastrophic events we've seen in history. Cities, once bustling with life, could be reduced to rubble, their infrastructures shattered. Entire nations could be plunged into darkness as power grids fail, and water supplies could be contaminated or cut off entirely. The world as we know it would be changed forever. But the physical destruction would only be the beginning. Economies would crumble under the strain of the war effort. The global financial system, so delicately balanced, could collapse, leading to widespread poverty and hardship. The cost of the war would be borne not just by the countries directly involved, but by every nation on Earth. And let's not forget about the environment. The use of nuclear weapons or even conventional warfare on such a large scale could cause long-term, possibly irreversible damage to our planet. We're talking about nuclear winters, changes in climate patterns, and mass extinctions. The scars of the war could be visible in our landscapes for generations to come. The psychological and social impacts would be equally profound. The trauma of the war, the loss of loved ones, the displacement of populations, these would leave deep psychological scars on those who survive. Society as we know it could break down, with trust and cooperation replaced by fear and suspicion. But perhaps the most lasting consequence would be the loss of our humanity. In the face of such widespread destruction and suffering, we might lose sight of the values that make us human: compassion, empathy, and a respect for life. These devastating consequences underscore the necessity for diplomacy, cooperation, and peace. To sum up, the prospect of World War III is a topic fraught with complexities. We've journeyed together through the potential causes and consequences of a third global conflict. The scenarios we've painted may seem grim, but it's important to remember that they are just potential outcomes, not inevitable future events. The causes of a possible World War III are varied and complex. They span across political, economic, and social dimensions, involving a multitude of nations and a web of interconnected issues. From territorial disputes to economic imbalances, cyber warfare to nuclear proliferation, the triggers are as diverse as they are intricate. But at the heart of all these potential causes is the lack of understanding, empathy, and cooperation among nations. Moving on to the potential consequences, we've touched upon the unimaginable human cost, the devastating environmental impact, and the far-reaching economic repercussions that a third world war could bring. It's a sobering picture, a stark reminder of the horrors of war and the importance of preserving peace. Yet amidst these ominous possibilities, there emerges a beacon of hope. The key to preventing World War III lies in our hands. It is incumbent upon us, the global community, to foster a culture of dialogue and diplomacy. We need to work relentlessly towards international cooperation, to resolve conflicts amicably, and to promote mutual understanding. In this interconnected world, the ripple effects of a single conflict can quickly escalate into a global crisis. Thus, it is more important than ever for nations to work together, to bridge the divides, and to cultivate peace. While the question, "Are we on the verge of World War III?" can stir fear, it should instead inspire us to work towards peace and understanding among nations. After all, the future is not written in stone, it's shaped by our actions today.
Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video. That's all for Nifty Narration.